where Dr. Ambedkar came from, and the majority of his followers live. So there's a very strongly local dimension, but the discourse about Buddhism is universal, at least in theory. The idea that Buddhism could possibly apply to everybody and doesn't belong just to one tribe or one clan. So there's a universal dimension, and Ambedkarite Buddhism is therefore both local and universal at the same time. And that's something that people need to be good at navigating. It's always sort of difficult. For Ambedkar and his followers, in the context of power, is Buddhism mainly or only an ethical code? It could be. I don't have any argument that it needs to be something else. It could be simply the ethical code. And there are some Ambedkarite students who observe this, who view it this way. When I teach classes in the USA about Dr. Ambedkar and Buddhism, very often my American students will, as they start to be exposed to this, ask the question, why did Dr. Ambedkar convert to Buddhism? Why didn't he just reject all religion and become atheist? Why didn't he simply take an ethical code and say, this is a humanist code, we don't need religion at all? For American thinking, this seems to be the way he presents Buddhism and emphasizes the ethical side. It's not clear why the rest of Buddhism needs to be there. You're, I'm very sure, very familiar with various ideas why the conversion was useful and why it was relevant, but this is a question a lot of my students have. When Dr. Ambedkar invoked Buddhism, he wasn't joining exactly a pre-existing lineage or tradition. He didn't say that people ought to all become Thai monks and nuns, or that people ought to start learning Sinhalese and join the Sri Lankans. He was doing something rather new, and this is hard, something hard for people to wrap their mind around, and even for a lot of Ambedkarites today, as I speak with them, it seems like this is something that they're still in the process of working out. I think also there's an issue here in when you think about what is Buddhism and how does it relate to power. The word religion gets applied in various ways. It's a very slippery term. As I read Dr. Ambedkar, he uses that word in a few different senses. So it's not entirely consistent, but that's okay. In different contexts, it has different needs. But as somebody who studies religion, the bigger problem is that the word religion itself is problematic. It comes back from especially the 18th century, Western Europe, and a Christian context, and gets expanded and applied around the world. And of course it doesn't fit, and it doesn't work. The word religion itself is inadequate. And so if it actually sometimes, in the course of talking about Buddhism and politics and Dr. Ambedkar's vision, the word religion may actually cause more problems than it solves. So that's something that I think within the tradition, within people's thinking, it's something that I would like to actually see people reckon with a bit more, is how whether or not that word religion is really